Hey everybody, it's your good pal Dustin back with another episode of Turn It Around. We are on episode 24, and I am going to share with you some things that I saw while I was on vacation. Me and my mom, we visited an aquarium while we are on vacation. I've always been fascinated with the ocean and the creatures that live in it, the creatures that God put in it. So, I'm going to share with you some pictures that I took while at that aquarium and show you God's wonderful underwater world. First, though, Genesis 1 9 through 13. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. That is talking about everything that God put on the land for us, that God put on the land to provide for us. And he saw that it was good. Genesis 1:20 through 23. And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing with which the water teems and that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the water in the seas and let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening and there was morning in the fifth day. God created these creatures. He blessed them and told them to be fruitful and increase in number. God put these things here to provide for us and to make the world he created beautiful and wonderful. And now we get to pictures. They had explanations for everything, but I can't remember them now, and at the time I wasn't smart enough to take pictures of what they were. So these are, we'll just call them plants, underwater plants with little lights. They're phosphorescent. Luke 12:27 through 28. Consider how the wildflowers grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith? Even the flowers on the land, but these, consider, you could consider flowers of the sea, and look how beautiful and precious and pretty it is. God made them beautiful, made them splendor, gave them splendor and color and look. Granted, these do not look as pretty as a flower on the land might, but imagine if you were a fish in the sea and seeing these. These plants would be like the wildflowers to the fish of the seas, beautiful and wonderful, but likely gone just as quick as they appear. Luke 24 through 26, consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable you are than birds. Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? Look at this huge guy. Look at him. He is gigantic. Imagine how much he must have to eat to sustain himself. And yet God provides for this creature. God makes sure he has enough to eat. How much more important do you think we are to God than this fish? Why do we worry about where our sustaining will come from? If God will provide for this huge fish, will he not provide for us, the creatures he created in his own image? Have faith in God that he will clothe you and that he will provide and sustain you. Silly and interesting creatures under the water. Look at this guy. Look at this guy right here. It's called a pine cone fish. It's a silly, but it's aptly named. It does look like a pine cone. And then you see this weird looking little fish up here. But as silly as these fish might look, God still cares and provides for them. So I don't care what you look like. I don't care what problems you may have, whether they be physical, mental. I don't care what you look like. I don't care if you're black, white, brown. God cares for you, and he will provide for you as long as you have faith. If God cares about these creatures that, in my opinion, look kind of silly, but they're so interesting and fascinating, God cares and provides for them. So, how much more will he care and provide for you no matter what you look like, or what you sound like, or what problems you might have? Stingrays. We all know about the stingrays. And one could consider stingrays to be the assassins of the seas. Their weapon is hidden in their tails and they can strike deadly quick. They must be handled with care to avoid being the target of their hidden weapon. They look harmless on the surface, but they are a testament to what Jesus says in Matthew 7:15. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. False teachers and prophets will come to you with pretty words and look harmless, but underneath they can be deadly and they can be dangerous. So you must look out for them and test them to what God says is true. Do not follow them blindly. I just want you to look at this picture. This picture, does it not look like the night sky? If you've ever seen the night sky out in the wilderness, no street lights, no house lights, no cars, nothing, just pure starlight and space. This was taken in an aquarium from underneath. They had little crawl spaces normally for children, but I was silly and I crawled under there to get this picture. And do you see how the lights above make the bubbles shine and look like stars. The ripples look like the galaxies you could see in the night sky. Can you imagine what the fish under the water look up and think and wonder? Can you imagine this is what they see every night? They see their own night sky. And I can only imagine they are imagining a world beyond their own. There is a place beyond earth. It is called heaven. That and that will be so much more beautiful than any night sky. And that is what we are striving for. Life itself shows the majesty of God. A manta ray, which you could consider the birds of the underwater ecosystem, and it soars through the waters as majestically as an eagle soars through the sky, and how beautiful it looks while it is soaring. So, how can anyone claim that such a beautiful and wondrous and majestic sight came into being by chance and luck? Excuse me. I do not know how anyone can look at something like this and say this all happened by chance. And even underwater, there is community. God wants us to be a community of Christians, of brothers and sisters. These seahorses huddled together, I can only imagine, for protection and companionship. Perhaps they're mating. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But I can only imagine this is what they do underwater t- for protection, for companionship, and friendship. Other fish create schools for the same thing. God wants us to be a community of believers. And yet I feel some of us either refuse or can't see and understand that this is what God wants from his people, to be a community of brothers and sisters following his word and making the world a better place. Like the stingray from earlier, these jellyfish, I don't know if these jellyfish in particular are that dangerous, but I know there are jellyfish that are dangerous, but they are all so beautiful. Look how they glow in phosphorescence. They had little buttons at the aquarium that would change the lights, and the jellyfish would change with the lights. Here you see they're purple. They had a green light, they would be green. They had a yellow light, they'd be yellow. They are beautiful creatures. But like humans, their beauty can be deceiving and hide true danger. Their tentacles can cause great pain and even kill a human being. Of course, that is their mechanism to catch prey as well, to feed, to eat, because even they need to eat. But those tentacles can also do a lot of damage to a human. Jesus promised us that we would face troubles on this earth in John 16:33. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. We will face dangers. They will be disguised as beautiful things. But we must trust in God and Jesus, and He will get us through, and He will see us through all things that come against us, whether they be obvious danger or hidden or disguised. God will see us through those dangers. He will see us through those troubles. He will see us through those false prophets as long as we trust in Him and what He has told us. And finally, God created everything. Fortunately, Mr. Octopus did not want to be seen through the aquarium glass. So luckily, the aquarium had a little camera, so I had to take a picture of the screen that the camera showed so you could see Mr. Octopus. This is a giant Pacific octopus. This is a creature that inspired the legend of the Kraken. It has 3 hearts. It has 9 brains. How could someone look at this, knowing this, and say, how could something so complex come into being by simple chance? It didn't. God created it. Can only imagine the octopus is like the human of the undersea world because they are highly intelligent, but they are still there to provide for us, to provide for the beings God created in His image. God put everything on this earth to provide for His children and to make the world a wonderful, beautiful place. Do not let someone tell you any different. Do not let someone tell you that such a creature with 3 hearts and 9 brains, do not let anyone tell you that they came into being by chance and luck. They didn't. God created everything. Those are just some of the pictures I took at this aquarium, some of the best ones I felt that I took. Other than the octopus, but like I said, I couldn't get him through the glass. I had to use the little camera screen they had at the aquarium. But I just wanted to show you all the beauty and the wonder that God created under the seas, and to remind everyone that though a lot of those things look beautiful and are wondrous, some of them are wolves in sheep's clothing and can strike at any time, just like the false prophets. They come to you with pretty words and tell you what you want to hear, but they are dangerous and deadly. And I also wanted to remind everyone that despite that, God created those things. God created everything. We are not here by chance or luck. We are here because God created us and everything around us. So remember, when you see a bird soaring through the sky, remember God's majesty and grace for creating everything and being our God and our Father. Until next week, bye.